What is up, good people? Peace and love. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying your weekend out there. I've loved making these videos, and I've kind of been thinking about making a video about this particular topic for a while. It definitely relates to retention, and it relates to spiritual discipline, and I think it's a good topic to bring up, especially if you're interested in practicing these things and raising your consciousness, becoming more enlightened, etc. This is a very interesting topic that I discovered a few years ago, and it is just blowing up on the internet. It's becoming more and more popular, and I'm talking about the sacred secretion. Okay, now this theory is based on a lot of ancient texts. It's based on astrology. It's based on physiology. And it might sound a little crazy to you, but from my experience, there is legitimacy to it. And I do think that there is something to this practice. So I'll kind of get into the basis of what it is, and then kind of talk a little bit more specifically about how you can practice this. So the word secret is related to the word secretion. And in your body, obviously, what I've been talking about, retaining, what we're talking about, it is a secretion. Your body makes it as a fluid. And there's different types of secretions your body makes. Different hormones your body secretes. Melatonin, DMT, right, when you dream, human growth hormone, all these different things your body makes. But science, spirituality, biology, physiology, a lot of these show that the body, obviously makes these hormones. So let's talk about semen, okay? So your body creates that. Now, what that contributes to is your cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, so cerebrospinal fluid is something that is made in the spine and is then brought up to the brain, and the brain actually bathes in it. And more knowledge is showing that cerebrospinal fluid is extremely nourishing for the brain and really for the body. And so a lot of this has to do with sort of raising up your cerebrospinal fluid within your body to activate things in the brain. Now, there's different opinions on how you raise this. One consistent one that people agree upon is by conserving your sexual fluids and by not practicing sex during a specific time in the month, okay? And this is where it comes in, the sacred secretion. So, if you talk about retention, you talk about nofap, obviously we're retaining all the time. And so, that's the way I practice it, and I think that's the way all guys should, is really, releasing as infrequently as you can. So this practice, the sacred secretion, essentially says that when the moon is in your sun sign, which is 2.5 days every month, so like I'm a Virgo, and I know it's astrology, but hear me out. There's some truth in astrology the more I study it. When the moon is in your sun sign, every month, once a month, the moon will be in your sun sign for 2.5 days. That there is an energy that is given into your solar plexus. They call it a psychophysical germ is the name they term for it. Basically, it's some sort of energetic seed that is planted in you, in your solar plexus. During those 2.5 days, they say it travels down to your sacrum and then back up. If you follow the right rules, it travels back up all the way up to the brain, into your claustrum, and then it's crucified in the brain, in the pituitary gland, and it brings up with it up the Ida and the Pingala of your of your spine, it brings up with it this oil. And what happens is when it's crucified in the brain, it activates additional unlocking millions of brain cells and consciousness, billions of brain cells, not really sure, of consciousness that you haven't had before. Almost like you're upgrading your whole soul and brain system. I know it sounds crazy, but you should look into it. It's very interesting. And it gets into like, that the word Santa Claus comes from the claustrum, Santa Claus, the claustrum in your brain. And that Santa bringing gifts down the chimney is actually a metaphor for this seed going down and going back up and then bringing gifts to you. It's very deep. It's very esoteric. It's hard to know exactly what's true, but I know that when I practice this during the time when the moon is in my sun sign in Virgo, I do feel something more energetic. I feel a heightened state. And during that time, during those 2.5 days, you're supposed to, fast. You're supposed to not drink alcohol. You're supposed to not really think negative emotions or feel negative emotions because you don't want to damage that seed. Okay. So, I know that I've practiced this and I have felt amazing benefits during and after that time. It's difficult to know how true it is, but when it does happen, there's supposed to be an unlocking of more DMT as well. And DMT is really supposed to be sort of the key to semen retention and cerebrospinal fluid, because it's unlocking DMT in your pineal gland. And if you don't know about the pineal gland, this is a gland that's in the middle of your brain that's shaped like a pine cone. And apparently it secretes DMT in heavy amounts, which is what causes you to dream. And when you dream, that DMT is allowing you to hallucinate, and it feels like you're really there. Well, DMT apparently is such a strong hormone that when it is activated more and it releases more of it, you can have more control over your consciousness and your life. And that DMT is really sort of the key to connecting to the spiritual realm and the key to connecting to your true self and having true sovereignty and control over your own life. I know that's a lot of information I sort of just talked about, but regardless of what you think about, the sacred secretion in those 2.5 days with the moon, this stuff is definitely true regardless when it comes to retaining, because it does affect your cerebrospinal fluid. It does increase your brain hormones. It does activate the pineal gland more and improve brain health. So the sacred secretion, whatever it is an interesting topic. And the people who believe in it say that it really is a way to, basically regenerate your mind, your body, and your soul. It makes new cells. So if it is real, if it is something that has been hidden for thousands of years and is sort of being rediscovered, it could be a key to living a much longer life and staying younger and sort of slowing down father time as we talk about and people want to do these days. So very interesting stuff. You can look it up. Jim Carrey talks about it a couple times out in public. One of my favorite, I would say esoteric truth teachers is Santos Bonacci, and he's the first guy who sort of talked about it when it comes to syncretism and his teachings. And that was where I first heard it, and his stuff is awesome. You should check him out. His YouTube channel is Mr. Astrotheology. Astrotheology is the study of astrology and sort of how it connects to the cosmic universe. And really it leads to syncretism, which is the connection of all things. How does everything interconnect? And again, if everything is energy, everything is interconnected anyway. Of course, which always goes back to God. It always goes back to really just source energy and just higher power, but your power being connected to that overarching power as well and affecting the universe in a good way. Karma comes back to you, etc. So, I would say, if you're interested in this, definitely look it up. It's a very deep spiritual topic that has to do with retention, but it is so, interesting to me, especially when it comes to, well, hey, if I'm going to practice this during this time of the month, I better be careful. I better not, overindulge and drink too much, and I better not, eat a ton of food and eat all this junk food and things like that, because it can affect with that, they say it can mess with that energy. So something to keep in mind. You got to do your own research. Of course, nobody really knows the full truth. People study stuff, people practice stuff, and people are sharing knowledge on the internet about it now. So, hey, if it helps somebody out there, cool. I think it's really fascinating. And I love learning more about it. And it connects to spiritual texts and the whole 9 yards. So, but hey, I hope everybody's doing well. I really hope, you are staying true to your path and staying focused and being strong for you and yours. And, enjoy the rest of the weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Peace and love. Take it easy.